It seems straightforward on the face of it. The tempi are written out, accompanied by metronome marks. That would appear to specify the tempi beyond a doubt. Musicians have always struggled with Beethoven's symphonies. And now it's all become even more complicated. The traditional interpretation of Beethoven has been upended, here in this small town in Hessen. This is where Dutch conductor Harke de Roos lives. He says he discovered something that hadn't been noticed or heard before.
All diese Metronomzahlen sind Fehler.
All of these metronome marks are mistakes, but they're deliberate mistakes. Some of them were noticed before, but people always assumed Beethoven made a mistake. It was a bit of an insult to Beethoven's honor as a musician.
Harke de Roos has taken the music world by storm with his new theory. Most of the metronome marks were a deliberate puzzle on Beethoven's part, he says. But why should Beethoven have done such a thing?
Ein Test für die Musiker, ob sie die klassische Gesetze kennen.
It's a test for the musicians to see if they understand the classical rules. Are they observant? Are they paying attention? Is his music in good hands? He wanted to demonstrate that he wasn't the one who was deaf, but the musicians playing the piece.
In fact, the metronome was invented during Beethoven's lifetime. In many cases, he added the metronome marks years after he had composed a symphony.
This is 66. This is the correct tempo. This is the tempo Beethoven speeded up. Quite a bit faster. In his puzzle. And this is what it sounds like.
If Beethoven's tempi are followed as written, some passages are nearly unplayable, as many musicians will admit. Harke de Roos also believes that Beethoven was poking ironic fun at the metronome, which was still a primitive instrument at the time. Here in Vienna, Harke de Roos was finally able to fulfill a long-standing dream. Together with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra, he performed Beethoven's Second Symphony, using the tempi that he believes were the original ones.
Yes, the difference is striking, enormous. I've never played anything so differently.
It's unfamiliar at first, of course, because the orchestra is used to the conventional tempi. But this way, we can hear things we've never been able to hear before, things that were hidden until now.
Back then, sticking strictly to the tempo was considered very important.
Das ist eben der Fall gewesen, dass man in der
In the classical period, they had a more discerning ear for the nuances of tempi. We've lost this skill. These days, it's not such a problem to listen to a movement played in a completely different tempo than it was back then.
Musicians like to debate whether it makes more sense to interpret a composition for oneself or to stick as close as possible to the composer's original idea.
The last decision a musician has to make when rehearsing a piece is about the tempo. And that involves understanding what it's actually about, its dynamic, how it fits together. And then comes the last question: which tempo best captures all these things is the million-dollar question.
Interpreting means recreating something for yourself in a personal way. It's not as though a performer who doesn't stick to the metronome marks is offending anyone or insulting Beethoven. Good Lord, it's just his interpretation.
Harke de Roos has ambitious plans. With support from a foundation, he would like to record all of Beethoven's symphonies and thereby rescue his honor.